But we're all about standards and values here at Smacking Off.
I'm the great smack talker on the fucking face of the earth right now.
You're just jealous of my shine.
Today's in there tripping on acid, man. This is going to be a great episode.
I try to do my part, guys.
SEC player of the year, bro. Come on, that's like being the smartest kid in your special ed class, bro. Ain't nobody take that seriously.
Are you pooping?
I believe that's what they call
You're
it.
pooping. I don't hear pee sounds. Dude, you're making...
Those Iowa beats your goddamn brains out.
No, USC is far better than Oklahoma historically.
Don't be ridiculous right now.
You fucking talking?
What the fuck are you saying about the SEC draft?
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
Meatloaf is moist as my pussy gets. I promise you that.
Jesus Christ, that hurt. I'm still going to have it.
Smacking off the podcast.
Bro, I'm gonna be a SoundCloud rapper, bro.
That is the best thing you've ever said on this show. And welcome back to Smacking Off the podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug Phillips, my lovely co-host and producer. How you doing, Doug?
I'm good, except for the fact that we just got done doing our intro segment.
We're actually cheating right now. This is not our official intro, even though this is our official intro. So I think probably at this point we're just going to go ahead. We've got a great segment lined up. We're just going to go ahead and rewind it from. Let's just hit rewind right now.
All right.
Please welcome Kyle Golik and Jonathon J. Pike to Smacking Off the podcast.
So how are we feeling about this Penn State, Iowa travel?
Yeah, let's get to the matter at hand.
I think it's going to be a close game. Every time, even going back, Penn State and Iowa played some really close games over the years.
If I'm not mistaken, Iowa has burst Penn State's bubble at least once. I definitely remember one time.
Many a times.
2008 and 2009 when
Penn State don't really have the bubble going on right now, though. So they're a little bit more down to earth.
They're trending downward these days. Of course, they're still a very capable program.
Well, the thing with the Nittany Lions is this year, a lot of expectations was coming from two sides of the ball. Number one, on offense, you had to look at the wide receivers. They're flat out just dropping the ball, and it's not figuratively, it's literally. Like when you watch the games, Juwan Johnson before the season was a fringe top 50 NFL prospect. Like he was a guy that was probably in that next 5 or 10 away from being in that top 50, and had he made the proper progressions, he would have gone to people be looking at him as the, hey, you're a bona fide top 40, maybe a monster junior or senior year would get him into the top rounds. He's caught nothing but a cold and horrible penalties. Then you look at the defensive side of the ball. 3 times this year they've given up 200 plus rushing yards in a game, and against Appalachian State, who's getting beat by Georgia State, he gave up 150 there. So this isn't your grandpa's linebacker and to me those are two very troubling signs, because you figure at this point of the year you would have confidence in both these parts playmakers wise, outside of Freiermuth and Hamler for Penn State. There's Miles Sanders is running the ball, but if you're talking vertical weapons, there's none there. And defensively, it's just a void. Like the leadership isn't there. The linebackers hasn't really came up. Parsons has done all right, but you can tell when you play teams like Iowa and Wisconsin, who are, in my opinion, like the physical teams of the Big Ten. This is where linebacking play comes in balance here. Penn State's given up 200 yards rushing to Pitt. They gave up 200 yards rushing to Indiana. They gave up 200 rushing yards to Illinois. Over 150 to Appalachian State. Jonathon could speak to this being an Iowa fan. Kirk Ferentz's offense, and I know you're past the Greg Davis playbook now. with his son Brian, who worked with the Patriots for a while. So they're using that 2 tight end attack. But Ferentz is always going to run the ball. They always got a top 3 or 4 line in the country. And that's going to be – this is with the weather looking like in Happy Valley, being 40s, rain. This is going to be a Kirk Ferentz, Iowa-type game. It's going to be power football.
Well, last week the running game started coming into play because the wind up there in Iowa City was pretty bad against Maryland. I was watching, like I said, I've been living here in Florida since 2002. I was watching on TV, and you can tell like the wind was playing a big factor in the pass game last week, and parents had to go back to his power run game. It's running back by committee.
Well, here's one thing I would like to get out of both of you guys. Is what do you think your team's key to victories are? What we'll start with Jonathan. What does Iowa have to do to go on the road and come away with a W?
Well, seeing what the weather's going to be is going to have to be running the football and creating big plays with Stanley, who's actually been turning it into a pretty good quarterback out of the pocket. He won't run. He's more of your drop-back passer, throw it down the field type of quarterback. But with the 2 tight ends, with Noah Fant, he has to get more involved in the game, and it's going to come down to our defensive line.
Right.
Because Iowa's one of these teams that they're not going to blitz you. They're going to rush 4, and they're going to play that. It's like Tampa 2. They're going to sit back, and they're going to let the quarterback make the mistake by throwing into not having much of a hole to throw through.
Kyle, how about your Nittany Lions? What do they got to do to?
Well, it's kind of going back to what I was talking about before. Number one, you're going to be facing – this is when you play Iowa, and this is just from watching pretty much the entire Kirk Ferentz tenure, they don't beat themselves. Iowa's not – like, what was weird about the Wisconsin game for Iowa was Kirk Ferentz and that team was really aggressive and was kind of out of your normal Iowa shell. They're not going to be doing this here. First off, Iowa has something to play for. With Penn State being a squad that, they're young, there's still a lot for them to play for. I don't know how Coach Franklin's doing it, but number one, you can't beat yourselves. I can never say his name, the cornerback for Penn State, number 21, who's looking like he's going to be a first-round pick at corner, Ari Mornway, and I can't ever say his name. He dropped a game-clinching interception against Michigan State and ended up losing that game. So, number one, they can't beat themselves because Iowa's not going to beat themselves. They're going to play sound, fundamental football. You know what you're going to get. You know what you need to do. You got to actually do it. So you can't beat themselves. Number two, you got to do something you haven't seen all year is actually stop the run. You actually got to force Nate Stanley to beat you. I think Nate Stanley's again the long line of Iowa quarterbacks have come in Vandenberg and whatnot of guys that they're tall, they're lanky, they got nice arms, but they're not used to having to control the game. So you're going to have to stop the run, which you're going to have to control the line of scrimmage. And Iowa's always up for the Joe Moore Award for top O-line. So you've got to get pressured. You got to be gap disciplined. On offense, you got to have for Penn State, you got to be able to convert on third downs, which they haven't done real well recently. And you have to extend drives, and you got to establish miles early. And I think the receivers have to flat out, when the ball's get into their things, they get 2 hands on it, catch the ball. Because right now, you put the Rainey, our offensive coordinator, in a bind whenever you just don't catch the ball, because now he can't come back to you. Now we're stuck doing the same 4 and 5 plays, and that we become predictable.
Kyle, are you going to be at the game?
I will not be at the game. I have a wedding, actually.
Okay.
What?
Well, damn.
Well, you got some shitty friends.
It's just been that type of year, man. I get married, my friends get married, so
yeah, you're kind of obligated, especially after you get married and you get like gifts and stuff like that. You're kind of obligated to go to all the weddings then.
I had one suggestion.
Is there going to be an open bar or is it a cash bar?
open bar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's
that'll,
what I'm talking about.
you can always catch a game on your little mobile device and get you some of that free swag.
God's blessed us with all these technologies, so if you can't figure out how to watch the game on your little
Then
device,
you really don't want to watch it that bad. That's the way I feel about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, what my suggestion was going to be, if you were going to be there and Penn State actually drops the game, I was going to see if we could get you to interview James Franklin as he was leaving the field, and maybe throw in what he could have done to win the game, like the one guy did.
He'll try to tell us that we're not like, so after Ohio State, we're not elite, and then if we were to lose to Iowa, I guess we're not very good.
Are you mad at James Franklin? You sound like you might be mad at him.
I'm not mad at him. I actually support him as coach, and I actually am in favor of him. I just feel like, he's, back-to-back New Year's Six bowl games. I mean, you would have told me at the beginning of his tenure that within this amount of time we'd be back, and with the Big Ten championship, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I just think, and remember, 2016, when after the Ohio State win, was the first time Penn State was ranked in 5 years. So we're just 2 years off that. So my thing is, the next 3 games isn't make or break for Franklin for me, but this could really define the era for him, because, in my opinion, if Penn State beats Iowa, and if they beat Michigan, and if they beat Wisconsin, they're going to beat Maryland and Rutgers. They'll be 10-2. They're going back to a New Year's Six bowl game, and for Penn State, the last time they went to 3 consecutive bowls that were New Year's Six grade was the early 80s in Paterno, 80, 81, 82. So
we're not allowed to talk
Tell
about
me this.
Paterno anymore. We just had to
Why?
we had to erase him out of the history book.
Kyle, I know you've seen the footage of the fan giving Franklin some pointers after the Ohio State game. Did you not?
What was the question there, Doug? I heard you ask, and I just can't.
Sorry.
I didn't hear you.
I know you remember. I know you've seen the footage of the fan talking to James Franklin after the. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying to figure out where that sound's coming from.
That's the highway patrol.
I was just outside having a quick cigarette.
It's the highway patrol.
Bass coming right behind my apartment.
Oh.
Who's that? Junior Brown? Were you
Yeah.
singing some Junior
Highway
Brown?
patrol. Yeah. The fan that hit Franklin up as he was leaving the field after the Ohio State loss. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I saw that, and I got the biggest kick out of it. I just think Franklin was.
I think he just wanted to go hug the guy.
Yeah, I just think the guy just, the fan was frustrated because you're 4th and 5, and when you're watching from the crowd, and I'm watching from my television set, you do that read option there, and it gets blown up. You get so mad at him. The fan goes, "Got to pass, coach, got to pass." And at that point, Franklin's probably sick to his stomach, because it's like how do you lose back to back like that, the same style to the same opponent? I get both sides. I mean, when you took the time, and when I cooled down and actually rewatched it, you could see what Franklin was seeing at there, because the way the Ohio State defensive line was blitzing, they were doing slants in, had I think it was Freiermuth who, if he would have pulled containment and Trace made the proper read, which he did, and there was nobody within 30 yards. That was one of those where the edge rusher that got past Freiermuth that blew it up made it happen.
Did McSorley did he audible at the line?
He did not.
Okay, but that was a rumor at first.
Yeah, that was strictly rumors.
All right, guys.
Now the Michigan State game, I can't talk too much about. I was in Mexico.
Yeah, I remember that about you.
I only got to see one play of that, and that was the game-winning touchdown. I was
just admit it. You were at the bar, and there was a guy with a big sombrero on it.
Yeah.
Was there one of those mariachi band kind of deals in there too? in the bar?
Oh, dude, it was La Cucaracha, and it was like, drink tequila or more fruit.
Did they play the Macarena when you were there?
They do that when the Americans come because they want you to spend that money.
They have to play the Macarena.
Because there's Americans there, and Americans love Macarena.
They're thinking that they're pacifying Americans with that, but I just don't get it. Like stop. It's like I'm past that.
Can we put a couple bars of Macarena right here? I'll edit it in. All right, here's what I want to get from you guys. I want to get score predictions out of both of you before we hang up on you.
You go first, Pike.
I can probably go with like a low-scoring game, probably like 24-17.
For whom?
Iowa. I think Iowa might just barely come out on top. I think it's going to be really low scoring. It's because of Iowa's defense going to keep us into the game.
Iowa's defense is number 3 in the country right now.
Yep.
Yes, with they've only allowed 1,800 yards this far in the season. That's spread out over 7 games. That's mighty impressive.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to Ferentz's play calling, which I'm not kind of a big fan. I wish he would kind of, go to more of a spread and start throwing the ball more, especially with Stanley. I mean, Stanley's came out as a pretty good passer, and he's shown that last year against Ohio State.
But what Iowa does kind of complements their defense, though.
Yeah.
If they start throwing the ball around, it may not work that way.
Yeah, true.
Kyle, how's your Nittany Lions going to pull this off?
They're not going to. I'm taking the Hawkeyes.
Get out of town.
Here's why. Number one, we have no rush defense. I said that at the beginning. This is going to be one of those games where it's the Kirk Ferentz special. You're going to see the flashes. Pike, who replaced Norm Parker as D coordinator in Iowa?
Phil Parker.
That guy's going to be able. He's going to dial up. Their defensive line is going to gobble our offensive line up. We're not going to own the line of scrimmage. Iowa's just going to run down their throats. And here's the thing. Stanley, they got 2 tight ends. Fant, and I can't remember the other guy's name. Jonathon, what's his name? You got Noah Fant, and I can't. Who's the part?
I know who you're talking about. It's number 38. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's been playing a lot better than Noah Fant. Because everyone's expecting him to block. He's more of your blocking tight end.
Yeah.
And
what I see happening is Iowa's just going to own the line of scrimmage. They're going to kind of do what D'Antonio did. D'Antonio left a good blueprint on to beat Penn State. I think Iowa's going to possess the ball 35 to 40 minutes of this game. And they're just going to – it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be rainy, miserable weather. I'm taking Iowa 21, Penn State. I'm going to say 17. It's just here's the big reason. This is the general gist. Two things. Number one, Iowa has something to play for. Kirk Ferentz is from that same coaching tree as Belichick and Saban. When they get this good at this point, they rarely slip it up. So they're playing for something. Penn State's very young. I don't think they see what they got to play for. So that's number one. And I think number two, it just goes back to the fact that you're asking Penn State to do something they haven't done all year: stop the run, control the line of scrimmage, and the receivers to make plays. Haven't seen those things. I'm taking the Hawkeyes.
Guys, we appreciate y'all coming on, and we're going to let y'all go to bed.
Take care, fellas.
Alrighty. Hey, you too. Thank you, Pike. Thank you, Charles, Doug, and Shannon. Hey,
Are you irritated with something we said on the podcast? Well then fuck you. Call the Smack line and tell us all about it at 304-508-BAIT. Don't be a pussy fuck boy. Call the Smack line today. Messages left on our Smack line will be used at the end of Smacking Off the podcast episodes.
They're champion. They've won the biggest championship, and that's a championship of life.
Each week, Smacking Off presents our Life Championship Top 10. This week's Life 10 is brought to you by Bad Month Tires. You don't have the slack for Goodyear, so why not aim for the middle? Bad Month Tires, the most economical tire money can buy. Also brought to you by Doyle Hargrave Construction.
Stay out of my goddamn face, you fucking buzzard.
Also brought to you by Dapper Dan Pomade.
But I don't want fuck, goddammit. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
And now, This week's Life Championship Top 10. Number 10, the Colorado Buffaloes. Number 9, the Michigan State Spartans. Number 8, the Wisconsin Badgers. Number 7, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Number 6, the Wolfpack of NC State. Number 5, the Auburn Tigers. Number 4, the Oregon Ducks. Number 3, the Penn State Nittany Lions. At number 2, making their Life 10 debut for 2018, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And at number 1, for the second week in a row, the top dogs for this week, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Please welcome Mike Gibbs to Smacking Off the Podcast for Week 9 game previews.
Clemson at Florida State.
We'll start with Clemson and FSU.
Oh, yeah. There's some FSU fans talking shit like they're going to win that game.
Oh, they're feeling good. They haven't done much. I mean, I don't know why they're feeling so good. I mean, they have improved. Definitely, because
you think about how bad they were before they improved. I guess it's kind of like with Tennessee fans right now, and Tennessee fans are still shaking their head over their season, but they still remain optimistic. Things are looking up. I mean, they did just beat Auburn.
They won at Jughead Stadium.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
The barn.
Yep.
Yeah, but didn't FSU choke a 21-point lead away?
They did. Against Miami.
Miami. Yeah.
Did you watch that Sanford game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That quarterback torched him for almost 400 yards in that game.
Howard College almost beat him.
Yeah.
That was like Howard. In week 2 or something. Okay, yeah.
Did Sanford used to be Howard?
That one.
I never knew that.
Yep. Bobby Bowden used to coach there.
I knew that, and I knew that. What's his name? Tommy Bowden was coach at Sanford for a minute. Was it Terry or was it I thought it was Tommy.
Terry went from Sanford to Auburn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Jimbo Fisher was on his staff at Sanford.
Yeah.
But anyway, Clemson at FSU. I don't know. I mean, being at FSU should make this a little bit interesting, maybe for a quarter, maybe even for a half. But what do you think, Mike?
I think Clemson really takes over in the second half.
Do you think that they just skull fuck them right through the whole game?
I would say they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay, the line is Clemson 17.
That sounds about right.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fair.
And actually, I think that's probably that's probably the very minimum that Clemson's going to win by, I think.
Clemson is they're kick ass on defense. There's no doubt they're in the top 10.
And FSU is not so great. Their rushing offense is almost just about in the bottom of the whole entire college football.
And they probably wouldn't have run on Clemson anyway, considering Clemson is
17th against the run.
Right.
Damn.
So, but FSU don't have a run game. They don't like to run.
No.
Clemson. Yeah, I don't know why I put this game on here. But shit, we got to talk about
Well, I mean, Clemson's still trying to
I guess because this game is a marquee game, usually.
It was. Now, several years ago when Jimbo was still heading the
last year,
Seminoles.
Last year, even though Florida State was on a skid, I mean, people were and if y'all remember correctly, Florida State took them to the wire up into the fourth quarter, and then Clemson went on about maybe a 21
point
run.
Yeah, but Auburn took them to the wire last year too, if you remember. So
mm-hmm.
yeah. We know how that wound up.
Yep.
UCF got crowned the national champions, and Alabama just got left in the dust.
I think Clemson doubles up Florida State score. I think if Florida State scores 20, Clemson scores 40.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Florida versus Georgia.
Let's talk about the world's largest cocktail party for a moment. Florida versus Georgia.
Are we allowed to call it that?
Paul Feinbaum may not be, but we are.
A video on that.
That's true. That's a true story. There is an epic amount of drinking that happens during the tailgating for this game. So you as you can imagine, there is a very spirited aura in the stadium, if you will, during that game. Yeah, a lot of dog cussing, a lot of what we like to do on the internet. If you get down to it,
this is kind of unfair, but I already know which way Mike's going to go on this game. It's going to be opposite of the way I go. But it wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't if the Gators shut Georgia's run down.
I'll say it. I'll say it to Shannon. I mean, I'm going to really say Florida versus Alabama for the SEC championship this year.
Wow.
Yeah, he's already picked Florida to.
I can't believe all of y'all are overlooking Kentucky because you need to take a good look at Kentucky's.
I'm not
schedule.
saying that. I'm not saying
Kentucky's got a very favorable schedule for them to actually, make a serious claim to the East.
I will say this: if Florida shuts Georgia's run down and makes Fromm have to beat them, it's going to be tough for Georgia. Fromm is not the type of quarterback that's going to carry a team in the air. What do you see happening here, Mike?
Well, it's just their whole defense is really playing really fast is what I noticed when they were playing LSU.
Yep.
Even, I mean, their defense was all over every play LSU had up. I mean,
you got to score.
I just don't see. Yeah, I see them being a big problem down the stretch for teams.
What's your score prediction?
21-27, probably.
Florida, the Gators at 27, Georgia 21. The line on this game is Georgia by 7, so Georgia don't cover and Georgia loses the game.
I think it's going to be like a 24-20 affair, and I'm picking Georgia in this one primarily because Florida is only 71st in the country against the run right now. If Georgia is able to make those adjustments, if Florida is able to stop Fromm and Georgia starts running the ball more,
they're 71st.
That could spell some trouble.
They're 71st, but in some of their bigger games, they've actually looked really good against the run, but they did not against Kentucky.
So it'll depend, and of course Kentucky has arguably one of the best running backs in the country right now. So that that you have to give them that.
I will say this: if Florida wins this game, I'm on the Florida bandwagon in the East.
Oiseau à Stanford.
We got a pack game here, and this is the hottest team in the pack right now. We've got Washington State going to Stanford.
Yeah, that was a big win last weekend.
I can't get off of Washington State. I really can't.
Well, let me tell you something about Washington State that I found just researching them that just blew me away. Washington State is 32nd in total offense, and it's not bad numbers when you consider that they are 129
in rushing
out of 130 teams. They have 508 yards rushing for the year. Obviously, they don't. Mike Leach don't. He never tried. He's never tried to run, has he? He's not a running game.
It's a short passing game.
Yep. So that really is their run game. Their run game. Their run game is their short passing game, kind of. So.
The big story of the year for me is the fact that Bryce Love is just completely just.
Yep.
I mean, he's a grand total of 348 yards for the entire season. 4 yards a carry.
Stanford's favored in this game by 3, and I really don't know why. I mean, I know why because they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
Washington State's going to win this game.
Yeah, they're coming off a huge win. A lot of momentum.
That would shock me if Stanford beat Washington State. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I don't know. I don't feel it. Do you, Mike?
No, I don't feel an upset at all. I think they're actually going to win by, I would say, at least 10 points.
Yep.
I wouldn't call it an upset at all if Stanford did somehow figure out a way to win, but I really don't see it. Like you said, Bryce Love ain't been able to run the ball. And I watched them play USC, and they were actually able to contain USC's running game.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
Our audio-only podcast is hosted at podcastgarden.com/podcast/smackingoff. Or find us on Google Play Music. Or on iTunes.
Texas at Oklahoma State.
How about those Texas Longhorns, who right now are getting more love than they've gotten probably since Mac Brown left?
Oh, yeah, it's been a minute.
What are they, sixth? Are they sixth?
Yeah, that's
6 or 7.
That's just insane.
Yeah. But they're sixth, and they're going to Stillwater. Okay, Texas is favored by 3 at Okie State, so Okie State's getting a little bit of love here from Vegas.
Yeah, they are, and for good reason. I mean, they are, 19th in total offense at, almost 500 yards a game.
Yep.
So that's huge, especially playing at home, which, Stillwater isn't really necessarily playing Death Valley down in Baton Rouge or something like that. But, home field advantage.
I think Texas will probably be the best defense that they face, though.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
30th in total defense, 31st against the run, which, Okie State is more geared toward the pass.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game and come down to the last possession on that game.
I think it will be, too. Red River Rivalry Part 2.
Actually, Okie State is 65th in total defense, and that's not really that bad for a Big 12 team. I mean, it's not. I mean, I bet you the worst Big 12 team is a lot further down.
It's better than where Oklahoma finished last year. They were, right at 70.
Right, and you're talking about a playoff team.
Yeah.
So, definitely a different standard there. And it's kind of getting that way everywhere. Defense is not what it used to be.
Give me a score for this one, Mike.
Oh, I think it's going to be like a video game score, like 49-42.
Arizona State at USC.
We threw this game in just for you. Arizona State at your Trojans, USC. Southern Cal is favored by 6.5 in this one.
I don't know if we can cover it. I really don't. Like, they're supposed to announce the quarterback situation, but as of right now, we got a guy that's never played a college down named Jack Sears that's going to be playing, and I have no confidence in this dude. I mean, it should speak for itself that, we got a true freshman starting for a reason this year.
You hear all he knows about these guys? That's why I didn't put any notes down here.
Yeah.
I knew that Mike would carry the notes on this
yeah,
one.
of course. Absolutely.
And, I mean, he did back Sam Darnold up in high school and all that, and he won a state championship coming out of high school, but he has no playing time in college, and I have no confidence in our offense whatsoever at this point.
So let me ask you a question, because neither team is bowl eligible yet. Which team goes to a bowl this year and which one doesn't?
Or do either of them go to a bowl?
Or either of them go? I'm sure they're both going to go somewhere.
Barely sneak in. I think they can both barely sneak in.
Yeah,
what is USC's record right now? They got 3 losses, don't they?
4-3.
4-3.
Yeah.
So 2 more wins and they'll be bowl eligible, I believe.
For some kind of bowl.
Right.
Because you only have to have an even record.
Well, here's the thing. When USC gets 6 wins, it's done. They're in.
Yeah.
Because a bowl, especially one of the bowls over in that area, they're going to take them because that's a big name.
Yeah, of course.
That's the biggest name in that half of the country.
Hopefully they'll play, they can get to 7 wins and they'll play somebody like, UCF, the defending national champion.
Game previews are now complete.
Them Ducks laid an egg.
They did.
But they were playing a good team.
They were playing a good team, and actually, I picked that one on my pick'ems.
I'm embarrassed to say this, Mike. You probably didn't hear this episode, but we did our pack preview with Bruce Martinez, Sean Devine.
I listened to it. Yeah,
Sean Devine, and if I'm not mistaken, Bruce was not high on Washington State. He said that they would win maybe 3 games.
Oh no, Bruce. Yeah, Bruce doesn't. Yeah, he didn't see that upset coming either.
Right.
When they played Oregon a few weeks ago.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but Washington State is they may get to the. I mean, seriously, if Notre Dame goes down, and
I was going to say Notre Dame going down at this point. Now, however,
I think it might even take more than that.
If they win this game at Stanford and continue to roll on, I know they have to face Washington at the end of the year.
Can you imagine Mike Leach at the media thing for the CFP? That would be some. Oh,
every microphone pointed in front of that loudmouth. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, can you imagine number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Washington State in the opening round? That would just be a media circus.
It really would be.
I'm really looking forward to that if that happens. I'm looking forward to seeing if Washington State can keep it up.
But then again, that also requires a lot of other teams to completely stall out as well. So I mean, I don't know. It really is. Even though we've seen as much of this season as we have, it's just still too. It's still too tough to predict who's going to finally be there. I know everybody's got an opinion about it, but I really can't make that call. I have a really good sneaking suspicion that Alabama's going to be there. I have a really good sneaking suspicion that Clemson's going to be there, and then 2 other teams. And there's so much. There's just so much to take in with every single one of the teams that's left. And up to and including, and I know I've given them some shit during this segment, but UCF. The UCF fans have gotten louder than ever, and there are a few, not many, but there's a few prognosticators that state that UCF, it would be the most ultimate of disrespect to their program to not at least consider them for the playoffs this year if they win out. And I don't know, man. I know everybody says some of these top-tier teams, like Alabama gets this claim a lot that, we don't play a strong enough schedule, but come on, man. You've seen their schedule. It's among one of the weakest, the weakest of the entire college football.
Yep. Mike, do you have any other games you want to bring up before we go?
Tonight, there is UCL. Utah went to UCLA. They play at 10:30 tonight.
Oh, okay.
And a couple people over in the group is actually siding with UCLA to win this game.
Chip Kelly.
I don't see it, but I guess it could happen.
Well, we don't want to tell Sky Anastasian. He won't like that at all.
Yeah, he hit us up in one of our group chats the week because we had tried to get him on the show a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Dodged the bullet there. And he apparently rejoined the group chat. And it was one of those that I hadn't deleted because I never delete anything in my messenger. I got so much unnecessary crap in there. And he just kind of popped in and started like, "Hey guys, Utah, blah blah this, that, and the other." Like nothing has happened.
Right.
There's been no history between us whatsoever. And then after a while, after nobody answered him, then he removed both you and myself as administrators from the chat.
From the chat that we started?
From the chat we started, right. 6 months ago.
Well, Mike, we're fixing to run.
Oh, fight on.
Fight on. All right, man.
Okay.
Later.
Find Smacking Off the podcast on YouTube, at Podcast Garden, Google Play Music, and iTunes. Make sure to check out the 9 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Friday Facebook Live episodes at #FamilySmack.